It seems like it's been 40 weeks since you got 40 winks. Your back pain? Unbearable. Tossing, turning, trying to find that pain-free position. And that's the moment you realize you can't spend another waking moment putting off treatment.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for spine care with a ton of surgical and non-surgical treatments for back pain. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This podcast, episode 570, answering your questions with gynecologist Dr. Kimberly Russell.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine, returning guest and my gynecologist. It's Dr. Kimberly Russell. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we've been spending some quality time together over the past couple months.
Sure have. You're my VIP.
Well, that's good.
I don't think anyone wants to be the VIP in my office, though. So.
Yeah, I'm the gynecologist VIP. Does that mean that I'm spending a lot of money because things are wrong?
I think you're fine.
Well, I know that because I've been sharing the process of getting my IUD replaced because I've gotten so much feedback from women that have been really scared and really just have so many questions that the internet's not really giving them, which I've seen that. I kind of Googled some of my options and nobody really, it's all just kind of like medical jargon. Like nobody's sharing their experience, and everybody that has reached out to me is like, I've heard it's so painful. I don't want to do it. And I was really scared to do it. So of the process of not only getting one taken out, but then another one back in, which I want to say it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting when my Paragard came out that it would be like hell on earth, and that I didn't feel as much, but I want to probably thank the Percocet for some of that. And then the other one going in sucked, but I mean, I had some cramps for a couple hours afterwards and it wasn't anything bad. But I do want to ask you about, since we're going to be talking about my IUD here. So I have had my first period since having the new IUD, and it is brutal. Like, is it supposed to be this bad?
No, not necessarily. So the bleeding after you have your IUD placed is different for everyone. Generally speaking, after the IUD is placed, you have some spotting on and off for even months, but usually it's not that annoying. It's just annoying. It's nothing bad. And over time, periods usually get better. And so it's quite possible that this first period is going to be the worst, and then over time that they'll improve. What I would say is that it would not be normal if you have brutal period month after month after month with the IUD. It should not cause that. So if that continues, then, it's worth looking into and making sure that the IUD is where it's supposed to be and isn't causing any problems.
Well, because I know
it doesn't sound abnormal. Usually there's an adjustment period.
Well, that's what I was hoping for, because from switching from Paragard to the Mirena, that I was hoping for, less brutal periods. Yeah, and that was part of the selling point. And then this one has been like hell on earth that just won't end. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I signed up for. We're going to be going in for another removal.
So you're absolutely right. The Paragard typically that's the copper IUD, and it usually tends to give women longer, heavier periods that are more uncomfortable, whereas the Mirena, they typically lighten up over time. Still can be crampy, but generally speaking, everything usually gets quieter with a Mirena IUD. So, we still need to do your IUD check. We'll see how that goes. But it doesn't sound outside of what could be normal.
Okay. And then another thing that I wanted to bring up that other women have brought up to me too is with the Mirena, there's the possibility of periods completely going away.
Yeah.
And I know, like, a friend of mine, she has the implant and she got that on purpose so her periods go away because she has endometriosis. Of like, how much fear is there then of like, oh my God, am I pregnant? When you're usually counting on a period to know that you're not pregnant.
Right. Right. So a lot of the contraception options that are available, even the pill, the implant is the little thing that goes in your arm. It's called a Nexplanon. And then the IUDs that have progesterone and not the copper IUD. A lot of these contraceptions, the way they work, sometimes women end up not having a period. And so, yeah, a lot of times my patients say, well, then how do I know I'm not pregnant? Well, you trust that, an IUD is 99.9% effective. Is it 100% no? If you're worried about it, take a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy them online for really cheap. But otherwise, personally, I think it would be better to not have periods than to have a period just to know you're not pregnant, when it's much easier, just if you're worried about it, to take a test, because periods are annoying.
Yeah, right? It just like takes over like half of your life, because then you have I have a week of PMS and then you got a week of actually having your period. I'm like, okay, so there's half my month of being nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can get rid of some of that bleeding situation, at least your quality of life can be improved. So just take a test. I just tell my patients that all the time. Or if they want a period, then we can adjust their birth control pill. The IUD and the implant, you don't have as much control over that. So that's just how it's going to be.
Now, is there any issues for women that are wondering about completely or using the pill to take away a period? Is there any long-term effects or anything that can hurt you from kind of holding that off?
No, so that's not going to increase your risks of any cancers, and it's not going to decrease your fertility likelihood. So it's fine. It carries the same risk of taking the pill and having a period versus taking the pill and not having a period, have the same risks.
Okay. Well, I know I put it on my Instagram of, hey, if you had a gynecologist available to just kind of ask anything, what would you want to ask? So I have a list of some questions, which I want to say I got a very long list of questions.
I can imagine.
We only have so much time. So I just kind of picked some of these out here.
Sure.
And one of them, the first one is, what's the best method of basically cleaning yourself down in your lady parts? Because there's the Vagisil's and all this stuff that you can buy. And then they're but can you just use soap? Should you use nothing because she cleaning herself? There's so many different schools of thought.
Yeah, so there's a huge market. If you go to the store and you look at the shelves, the feminine hygiene aisle is huge. And honestly, it's kind of not necessary. A lot of times the products that are marketed to help with pH or to help with odor or just vaginal cleansing can actually cause more problems than they help. I would say if you have a cleaning routine and you are feeling okay, it's probably fine. But some of these extra things you can actually have contact sensitivities to, so it kind of makes things worse. It can throw off your pH. It can cause itching or discharge or irritation that wouldn't have otherwise been there. So honestly, detergent-free soaps can be helpful. Things like Aveeno has a good product as long as it doesn't have any scent in it. There's a soap called Basis, which is really, really good. So really, it's better to not use as much. And honestly, you can just use water and not even a washcloth, and just use water, and really it should take care of itself. Sometimes the enemy of good is better. And so we start using things that we don't need. And then if you do happen to have persistent irritation or discharge or things like that, and you've tried not using any of these products, it's probably worth getting checked out, because that, in addition to being annoying, is something that we could probably fix.
Yeah. Well, what is that something you would fix with medication?
Yeah, we just have to figure out why. And so if it really is a pH imbalance, there's some medications we can do. Or if it's a contact dermatitis because you're allergic to your soap or your laundry detergent or your toilet paper, then those are things that we can kind of work through too. So I talk about irritated vaginas more than you would ever think. And a lot of times it goes right back to all these products that are marketed that are supposed to make us feel better, that sometimes just confound the issue that's already there.
Well, and it's not like it's cheap either. So it's almost refreshing to be don't get it.
Don't get it. Just use water.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. If you worked out or whatever and you want to use some soap, fine. It's fine. But less is more when it comes to hygiene down below.
What about the sprays that you're supposed to put in your underwear or whatever?
It's a bad idea.
Yeah. What is that? What is that doing wrong?
I mean, just you have sensitive skin. So some women are prone to like eczema or allergies or things anyway, and the vagina tends to take it's worse there because the tissue is so fragile. And so any of the sprays, a lot of times panty liners, scented tampons, all of that can be not a great environment can be created after you use that kind of stuff. So the vagina really, she cleans herself. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah. Well, then on the same topic, like how conscious should you be of like what kind of underwear you're wearing and how often should you like change out your underwear? I mean, I know like my husband wears underwear until it literally falls apart on his body. I know he's a dude, it's different, but like can girls do stuff like that, or you need to have like a fresh rotation?
Oh, this is so interesting. So it's funny. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and we were just like reading through this, the American Doll book about puberty. And it's not just about puberty. It's about self-care and what to expect and eating right. But also it literally says you should wear clean underwear every day, and it should be cotton underwear. And I was so happy to see that in like a book for, prepubescent girls. Because really cotton underwear is what we should be wearing. Granny panties, you're welcome. And then, just make sure they're clean and dry. So if you work out or you're like working in the yard or, doing whatever that we do that you're sweaty and wet, change into dry underwear. It really does help the environment down below stay healthy. And then, wash them, dry them. Be careful with your fabric softeners and your laundry detergent. Sometimes you need to do underwear on an extra rinse cycle so that some of those irritants get out. But really, cotton underwear. I mean, if you want to be fancy, whatever, you can wear whatever you want or no underwear. But cotton underwear is the best.
It feels like, I don't know, no underwear seems like such a gamble.
Yeah, in so many ways.
Yeah, right. And I mean, personally, I can understand more like no underwear with like leggings or like yoga pants or something. But with jeans, like, I don't know, that just seems like you're asking for trouble.
I agree. But some women, it doesn't bother them. So I think if it's not bothering you, then it's fine.
Yeah.
But if things are bothering you, you probably ought to strip back to like cotton underwear. Just use water to clean. Don't wear panty liners and change your fabric softeners to like, or in your laundry detergents to all of the like all free and clear or Tide free and clear or whatever comes in those white bottles. But if it's not bothering you, it's probably okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, next question is, can you exercise to avoid period cramps?
So period cramps are from a prostaglandin, which is kind of an inflammatory cascade that happens in there with your cycle. Not everybody has them. A lot of women have them towards the beginning of their period or even before it starts and through the first part of it, and then it usually gets better. There are a lot of things you can do to help with menstrual cramps. Exercise can be one of them. So in general, exercise just kind of makes us feel better anyway. And when you're on your period, you like feel gross and don't feel like working out, but sometimes it's like good to exercise and work out. If for no other reason than at least you're just moving your body and not suffering. I think other things you can do would be clean eating during your period, making sure you get enough sleep. And then if you don't have any reason why you cannot take Motrin, taking Motrin, which is the same as ibuprofen, before your period starts and through those first few days are probably going to be more effective than anything.
Okay. That's good to know. I mean, especially, I keep track of my period with an app just because, I don't know. Yeah. Hashtag that's 2020, how life is now. But I feel like that's helpful because then I can plan out a few days ahead of like, oh, well, this is when I should start taking something so I don't, curl up in a ball and cry in my bed for a couple hours.
Oh, it'd be so bad. Yeah. So if you know it's coming, like just start taking Motrin before it gets bad, and it blocks that whole prostaglandin cascade and can significantly improve your quality of life.
Nice. Well, on the topic again of periods, the next question is how much does my period impact weight loss?
Oh, periods are hard with weight loss. And so I think anyone who's done a weight loss journey when they are a menstruating woman have realized that if you weigh yourself once a week and it's your period week, you might not lose weight. You might actually gain weight, even though you've followed the diet despite all of the horrible cravings you have and you've like followed all the rules. We do retain water. around the time of our cycles, and that's for sure hormonally influenced. And so, does it affect your long-term weight loss? No. Does it make you feel even worse about yourself that week? Yes.
Yeah.
Just accept it and move on, and the weight will come off the following week.
Yeah, I know for me, like just coming up on my period, just because I feel so bloated, like
Yeah.
it triggers me every month to be like, oh, well, I should just, I gotta really kick things into gear. And because I'm gaining so much weight, I'm like, no, I just feel
my belly's
bloaty.
Yeah. And you're not the only one. I mean, it happens, and that's just what we have to deal with. And the scale doesn't move if you're trying to lose weight. Sometimes it does. I mean, every month can be different, but don't be discouraged by it. And it's not going to affect or impact your long-term weight loss, but sometimes it's kind of a plateau for a week or so. But just keep your head on straight, keep moving. It'll come off.
Yeah. I mean, you got to deal with it every month. So you got to get past it somehow.
Yeah.
Then the next question is, how does stress affect my period?
So this is a good one. Some women are not affected by their cycles, are just clockwork every 28 days. Not many women, by the way, but some women have that perfect clockwork cycle. Stress, depending on how much stress it is, can absolutely affect your cycle. More likely, it will make your cycles spaced out more. So instead of being 28 days, it'd be 30 days or 33 days. Or if it's a really profound amount of stress, you can just skip a period altogether. And sometimes even without stress, women will skip periods, and it's okay. As long as you're not pregnant, it's totally fine. So stress absolutely can affect your cycle. It's more likely to affect your cycle length, meaning the length of time from the first day of one period to the first day of the next. If you're super stressed out, periods might be lighter or they might be heavier. There's no real rhyme or reason, but there is a correlation.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, I've noticed for me, going through extremely stressful periods or just being stressed out, that it's made my periods heavier.
Oh, bummer.
I know, right? That was also with the Paragard, so we'll see what happens with the Marina.
Well, who knows with the Marina? It sounds like we're off to a rough start.
I know, right? I'm like, oh man.
It'll get better. It'll get better.
I know.
But yeah, it depends. I mean, everybody's body responds differently. But it can take a pretty significant amount of stress in order to notice a change in your cycle.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. I mean, especially now. I mean, we're all under some sort of degree of stress. Of like, of course, it's going to affect our bodies in some way.
Yeah, in so many ways. Right now is hard. I mean, it's hard to find somebody who's still the best version of themselves in these current times. But people are getting better. It's getting better.
Yeah. Have you noticed, just like in broad strokes, not to like call anybody out, through this pandemic so far, have you noticed any sort of new issues or an uptick of certain issues?
Oh yeah. I mean, people are stress eating.
Oh, yeah. Hand raised.
Not the judge-free zone. I'm included in those people. I mean, it's just a lot. Our workflow, our home flow, everything, our school flow, if you're parents, is totally upside down. And so I have seen a lot of women in the office who are gaining weight, who are not eating as healthy as they usually would have. It's really hard to keep it all the way together in every aspect of life when it feels like the world is kind of falling apart around you. So I think in that particular case, you have to be kind to yourself and realize that you're human and that you might not be the very best version of yourself. But then also don't just sit on that. Have a plan that, okay, well, it's been going on for 6 months. We can't do this forever. Let's start clean eating. Let's start exercising some more, going for walks, or meal planning, which I know you do, can help prevent a lot of those bad eating choices. Kids are hopefully going to be getting back to school, and that can help some of these working parents who've been home with their kids for 6 months.
Yeah. And how about pregnant women? How are they doing through all of this?
You know, pregnant women are tough chicks. They're fine. And there's a whole lot of anxiety up front. And there's still some now. Fortunately, there's pretty good data for what we have that, the coronavirus doesn't negatively impact unborn babies, and that pregnant women, while they don't necessarily feel as well, as a non-pregnant person, they really have a good prognosis as long as they don't have any other underlying health concerns. And so it's fine. Pregnant women are doing just fine, I think. I mean, there's some anxiety, but they're fine.
Awesome. And then I got one more question for you, and that is somebody asked about tips for coming off birth control.
Yeah, I mean, you just come off it and see what happens. So it depends why you're coming off it. You know, if you're coming off it because you want to conceive, don't stop your birth control, regardless of what method it is, until you are 100% certain that you would be okay getting pregnant that month. As far as what to expect, if you're coming off the pill, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for your periods to come back to normal. Sometimes you didn't have normal periods to begin with, and then you just have to see what happens. And that's a whole nother topic. Coming off an IUD, literally you pull the IUD and you feel the same. The depot shot, that sometimes takes a little bit of time to wear off too. But there's not really an art to coming off birth control. You don't need to taper it. You just stop it when you don't need it. If you're coming off it to start another one, that would be a conversation with your gynecologist about the timing of things like that.
Now, is there more concern with, because I know we've done a whole podcast in the past about weight gain going on birth control. Is there any sort of issues with weight gain coming off of a birth control?
It depends. So if you're on the birth control pill and it is actually helping with some of your mood swings and your mood eating, and if you're PMSing and all you want to do is eat potato chips and ice cream, if you're on the pill, that can suppress that. So sometimes coming off the pill, people's diets are worse because they have more cravings. But generally speaking, I don't see much of a weight change when you stop birth control.
Yeah, I've heard more issues of people going on it than versus off of it. Which, yeah, it's crazy because it's got to be so hard for you, or each individual is so completely different. It's kind of like you just have to jump in and see what happens.
Yeah, so I will say the only birth control that I really reliably see weight gain with is the Depo-Provera shot, which is a great birth control. It's really effective. You get a shot every 12 weeks, so you don't have to remember to take anything. Sometimes your periods go away, but sometimes your periods get weird with that one too. But that one is the only one I've you actually see legitimate weight gain with. And so that's something I counsel patients on. The rest of them, it's just totally dependent on the person and how sensitive their system is to whatever we're doing.
Well, I know I have so many people have so many more questions for you, but I know it's for another time because you're busy. You got stuff to do. Are you homeschooling right now?
No, fortunately, our kids just went back. We were hybrid, but they're back in school now.
Oh, that's got to be
this is
break.
The first day I've had off.
Oh my God.
So I'm feeling really liberated.
Nice. Well, I won't take up any more of your time so you can go enjoy your day off. But are you accepting new patients if somebody wants to come see you at the Christ Hospital?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just call our office number, which is 564-1600. That's a 513 number. And then I can be found at the main hospital location and then also at the Anderson Outpatient Center. So yeah, come see me.
Awesome. Well, it's always awesome chatting with you. And then I'll see you in the stirrups next week for my checkup.
I'm sure that we're both highly anticipating that.
Right. We can do it right now over video chat if you need to.
I don't know if we can.
I usually charge for that.
Fair.
All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll chat soon.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.